Well, what we know right now is that this is a human-caused fire, but how it exactly started is still under investigation. The Boulder View wildfire broke out around 2:30 yesterday afternoon, and it spread fast. 3,200 acres have burned northeast of Scottsdale, and there is 0% containment at this time. 60 homes have been evacuated, but none have been damaged, and no one was hurt. Overnight, the southeast side of the fire remained really active with extreme 20 to 40 foot flames. It slowed in parts within the Wildcat fire burn scar. You may remember that wildfire from back in May, but there is concern that area could flare up again. High voltage power lines are also threatened by this fire, so crews are closely monitoring that to keep them protected. People living from 136th Street to 144th Street from Dove Valley Road to the Tonto National Forest boundary have been evacuated, and everyone living from 136th Street to Box Bar Road and Rio Verde Road to Dove Valley Road are in set. That means they need to prepare to leave right away should things change with the fire. Officials recommend they have a go bag packed with prescriptions, water, snacks, and IDs. I spoke with one mother in this area who is keeping a close eye on updates.
Yeah, so we have two little kids, so, mostly just getting the super important things, documents, things like that, getting things ready that if we had to leave and not able to come back, we have everything ready. We don't have any pets or livestock, but a lot of the people around here do have lots of animals, so, lots of people are getting trailers and getting their horses ready to go.
Pets are also being evacuated, and the Arizona Humane Society is helping with that to keep the animals safe. Several large animal evacuation shelters have also been set up nearby. The dry, hot, and windy weather conditions present a challenge, and a threat for fire danger still remains. Grass and brush are the fuel. Parts of the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve are closed right now because of this wildfire. Some trails are shut down out of an abundance of caution because wind gusts could shift the fire despite there being no immediate threat there. We know that Bartlett Dam Road is closed at Cave Creek Road due to suppression efforts, and the Red Cross has set up a shelter for anyone in need of resources at Cactus Shadows High School. Reporting live, Michaela Marshall for Arizona's Family.